Hey folks, I'm Pete and this is Pete's Eats Cooking Videos. Today we're making Philly cheesesteak and this is such a treat. It's so easy, it's so delicious, and it's done in a snap. So let's begin. So here's what you're going to need to make the Philly cheesesteak. You're going to need the meat. The meat, well, you can buy all kinds of cuts of meat. I find the best one is top sirloin. That is the best cut for this sandwich. You can go to sirloin tip, it's a little bit lower. You'd have to cut it a little thinner if you do that. But top sirloin is probably the best. The cheese. Mozzarella is the best in terms of melting. It gives a lovely melt and a really nice cohesion to the sandwich. You need an onion. You also need some spices, salt, pepper, Herbamare I like to use, and you need some buns. I don't like buns that are too bready. I like the buns a little bit on the soft side. I'll show you how to make it. It's really quick and it's really delicious. So here I have a lovely piece of top sirloin. And so I'm going to cut the top sirloin as thinly as I can. It really isn't that critical that you get it razor thin with this cut because it's a good cut of beef. So if you were to buy a less tender cut of meat, like a sirloin tip, you might want to keep it frozen and then just when it's semi-defrosted, you could cut it. And that way, when it's semi-frozen, you can cut it a lot thinner. And so I'm just going to chop up a bunch of this nice and thin. Just going to see on the other side of this meat. So here we go. I've started off the cast iron frying pan and I'm putting it on the heat on the gas stove, and I'm going to let it heat up really well for about 5 minutes. I'm going to let it get really, really hot. Now you want to use either a cast iron frying pan as this one is, or just a metal frying pan like this one here. You definitely don't want a non-stick because you really, really have to heat it up big time before you throw the meat in. So while that frying pan is heating up, I'm just going to cut a bunch of cheese, about 1/8 of an inch or so thick, a bunch of slices. This is mozzarella. You could use provolone. A lot of people use provolone, but I find provolone very stringy. So here we go. This frying pan's been heating up and it's quite hot. I'm going to put just a drip of oil in here just to give the bottom a tiniest coat. I like using sunflower oil. I'm just going to spread that around to see how hot that pan is. I used a piece of paper towel, and now I'm going to drop some meat in. And it's absolutely critical that you don't put too much in. You don't want the meat swimming in its juices. So I put the meat in, and the key here is you don't want to touch it. You want to just let it simmer until she's nice and done. I'm just going to move some of that red meat over into the open spaces, but otherwise I just want to leave it. You're going to see a lot of juices will render out of it, and I really do want it to get a nice sort of bit of a char, so I'm going to leave it like that. But while it's going, I'm going to take some minced onion. I'm going to put some minced onion in, probably about 1/2 to a full minced onion depending on your taste. Now some spices. I'm going to put the Herbamare in. It's a really lovely mix of spices. It's like a very, very healthy salt mixture. So I'll put quite a bit of that in there. It gives it a nice taste. And also pepper. I like quite a bit of pepper, so I'm going to put some pepper in there. You do that to your own taste. You go. And again, you see I'm not touching it. I'm just letting it simmer in there. And you see the juices that have rendered. What's important is I want to let those juices kind of render out of the meat until I think that the bottom's got a nice char, which is probably right about now. And now I'm going to give it a flip. I want to turn everything over. So I'm going to do that right now. Oh, perfect. Yes. Got a nice browning of the meat. If you put too much meat in the frying pan, it just ends up being a soup boiling. And you can't deal with it. You know, maybe if you want to salvage that situation, you can get a spoon and start spooning out the liquid. So here, the trick now is I want to put mozzarella cheese in, but I want to do it so that the cheese sort of finishes melting when all the liquid is gone. So I'm going to just let a little bit more of that liquid boil off. There's a few parts here that I see are really red. I'm just going to sort of break those up and push those down to the bottom so they get done. Okay, I think I'm about there. So I'm going to put the cheese in. Of course, the cheese is totally to your preference, but you know, with cheese, more is better than less. Generally speaking, that's probably enough. And we'll just leave that now. I'm going to wait for that cheese to melt beautifully. Okay, so now the cheese is melted, and what I'm going to do is just give it a good flip over. That is absolutely gorgeous. And now you just have to wait a couple of seconds, if you can, because this is absolutely delicious. So here you go. Here's the cheesesteak. You just put it in a bun. It depends. Oh, you put a lot, you put a little, whatever you like. We like mayo and ketchup in ours. Depends what you like. But I'm telling you, I guarantee you this will become a family favorite, and you will see they'll be coming back for more. Here's the final cheesesteak. It's fabulous. You know, this is particularly good for newlyweds, if you're off at college on your own, or for people that are living on their own. You know, you see top sirloin or sirloin tip on sale. You don't have to worry about making a big roast. Buy it, bring it home, cut it up and make the cheesesteak. You'll love it. It's fast, it's delicious, it's fabulous. Enjoy!